stuff. And remember, there were days I would be so angry, and I would tell mom, how come this thing is not going the way it's say? And then my mom would say, where? That man is your father. And she would say, I will never open my mouth and speak trash about your father to you or to anyone else.
Okay.
We are still in primary.
We're still in primary, but it's coming to the end. It's like
yes, we are going there. We are going there.
And again,
yes.
let me ask.
Yeah.
Dad hasn't checked in at this time.
Dad has checked in.
Okay.
Let me tell you. I have a very good story of how he checked in.
But your parents were not together.
They were not together.
Okay, that's clear.
They've always been separated.
Okay.
And so, based on the stories I had was, when I was born, my dad came to see me. When I was a few years old, he came to see me. Maybe I couldn't remember. But the time I remember was, there was a time I was about 7 years old. And I remember I walked out to go and play with other kids. And I remember one day seeing a dad throw his kid up in the air. Like, yeah. And I remember looking at that and I remember saying, that has never happened to me. So who is my dad? And I remember going home that day evening and I asked my mom, who is my dad? My mom said, okay, you want to know who your father is? And I said, yes. Said, okay, all right, you'll get to know him. So my mom called my dad and he said, hey, your son wants to see you. Are you game with this? Dad said, awesome. He closes school in August. Bring him on August. And then my dad was living in Western Kenya. Was it in Bungoma? Lake Victoria Police Station. Was it Port Victoria Police Station? Yes.
So they met in this whole world of...
Yes. So my mom and my dad met in 1984. So my dad is a police officer. My mom is a prisons officer.
Yeah.
So within these different forces in the government, there is a place where they can be done training together, where they can take people from GSU, people from this, and do them training. So at that point, my mom wanted to do radio room training. So she applied for radio room training. My dad wanted to do radio room training. My dad applied for radio room training. So during that training, and their son ended up working on radio years later.
That's dope. That's dope. That's dope.
Oh my God! So that's how they met. That's how they met.
Yeah.
And so I remember meeting my dad for the first time and saying like, wow, I look like this guy.
Yeah.
In fact, you'll put a photo on top of this. What are the two similarities to anyone?
Say it. Tell me who you
Yeah, man, that is guy. My dad, Richard Matenke Ngatia. And so I remember meeting this guy. I remember hanging out with him, and I had a good time, man. Say in Bungoma, and
did he have other kids?
At that point, was he married yet? I can't remember. Yes and no. Can I really place it?
It's okay if you can't remember.
I have two sisters, and one sister was born in 92. And another one was born in 96. Now, because my dad is married. Yes, my dad is married, and in that marriage, now my dad has two daughters.
Okay.
Yes, so those are my sisters. They're not steps.
I get what you mean.
Anyone who shares a father, those are not your steps. Those are your sisters. And so I've never referred to them as my steps. Those are my sisters.
I get it.
Yes. And so that's when I met him. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Okay, let's transition then out of primary.
So now out of primary, I finished primary school. I am called into...
You do well.
I do well, actually. I do well. I got 500 out of 700.
Nice.
And out of that, I was called
from
into...
350, let's talk about this. From 350?
From being a 350 student.
This
That's a big deal. Mental shift. If you change the environment properly, it will work.
You know, it's funny, when I interviewed Abel Mutua,
yes,
that affected him negatively. He went from a school where he was doing very well
yes,
into a school where he wasn't being pushed.
Yes.
But anyway, just your experience I like hearing a different version.
A different perspective of
Yes,
that. Yes.
Of transition.
Yes, and so with that, now we transition, and I'm called to a high school known as Mohoho High School.
Mohoho High School.
Mohoho High School is in Kiambu. It's in Gatondo, just north of Gatondo, a place known as Kiganjo, up there. And so I go to Mohoho High School, and this is where things just take a whole new turn into the trajectory of my life.
Okay. First thing that we need to
Yes.
say, which is important, this is boarding.
This is boarding.
Before you've just been when a mommy.
Yes.
Your mommy's boy proper.
You can say that, by the way.
Which is mind-blowing.
I've
because-
never seen myself like a mommy's boy.
No, but look, you just
But I have a
mommy.
healthy relationship
Yes,
with my mom.
But
Yes.
it's fine. Your mom
Yes.
is boy, but for your, that's what I'm saying. You're changing the perception.
Yes.
A lot of the young guys today who are growing up in single homes,
Yes.
because that's what you are. In a
Yes.
single home.
Very true.
But it's so funny
Yeah.
hearing this positive difference
Yes.
that is instilled. So you sort of remind me of Trevor Noah. Because Trevor Noah has that thing of also being raised by a mother that comes the positive thing.
Yeah, it's in his book also.
Yes,
Born a Crime, yes.
Where the father figure, the narrative we've had is where the father figure is missing.
Yes.
The child is. It looks like it's very negative.
Yes. No, for my dad, I totally understand. I think it's because now I'm a grown up. He's a married man.
Yeah.
He has his own wife. He has his own kids to raise up, and that now I have a lot of respect for that, because he had to do what he had to do. Menishika.
Did it hurt you at that time, by the way?
I was very wounded. I was a very wounded guy, because I didn't have capacity to understand it the way I'm understanding it now. I was wondering, where is this guy? And at that point, I didn't know he was technically married. I didn't. My mind was, I remember the first time I met my sisters, I think I was in class 7 or 8 there. I'd gone to visit my grandmother. Tape is running.
Yeah. Tuendelee.
Tuendelee. Ah, sawa.
Tape
I'd
doesn't
gone to
stop-
visit my grandmother.
Tape doesn't stop running.
Tape doesn't stop running.
Yes.
I'd gone to visit my grandmother, Grandy, and I remember we were with my other cousins from my dad's side. So remember, I'm hanging out with cousins from my dad's side. It's not that my dad is, it's so far-fetched. Unanishika.
okay,
No. So I know my dad's family. We are interacting. We are
Okay.
visiting each other. These are my cousins. It's just that he's in his married life.
I get it.
Umenishika. It's not that he sidelined us.
You
Yes.
went with your mom. Your mom.
It's my mom now who was raising me up.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm exactly.
And
like
my
you.
dad was present even when I went to high school. My dad is the one who took me to high school.
Okay, I
Yes.
get it.
Yes.
Let's call it custodian.
There you go.
Okay, I get it. So this was he was not completely absentee. He
Yes.
was present in the capacity that he could.
In his capacity as a father, he was there. Yes.
But it was affecting you.
It was a lot. It did affect me a lot.
Okay.
A lot. You know, because there were days I would see how other young men were interacting with their fathers. I remember there's this guy, his father was a boxer and a prison officer, and that dad was a cool guy, man. And I would go to hang out with them because of how cool his dad was. Because his dad would talk to us, he would share stories about boxing, about mental space when it comes to boxing, you know, and how he applies that mental space in life. And I would say, man, I would want this. You know, how come this guy is not available and stuff. And remember there were days I would be so angry. And I would tell mom, how come this thing is not going the way it's. And then my mom would say, where? That man is your father. And she would say, I will never open my mouth and speak trash about your father to you or to anyone else.
Your mom is my hero. Clean. Tears have almost
Up to today, regardless of how angry I was towards my father as a young person, my mom always placed me in place and said, that man is your father. Never speak trash about him. Mimi, never.
Okay.
And she never spoke anything
She
trash.
even told you to hold your own tongue.
She was very. Me, then I was a kid. I was a kid.
Yeah, but you
Yes.
are you like now, of course, because you're an adult. Are
Yes.
you looking back and being like, God bless me, the mom?
Now I'm very grateful. No, I'm very grateful.
Have you understand? I mean, just from your small story,
Yes.
there's so much I'm picking about.
Yes.
A different level of maturity from an African mom,
Yes.
single.
Me, I don't know. Maybe
From a
she's the one who
provision
needs to come for a CTA.
You know, but you see, you are giving her version of.
Very true. Me, I'm just giving my
You're the
version.
fruits.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So tulikuwa kwa
So
transition.
tulikuwa tuna transition into high school.
So Mohoho.
Tuna transition to
You're
Mohoho.
in Kiambu.
Yeah,
Kiganjo.
Kiambu. I go to Mohoho High School.
Hold on, Kiambu stretches all the way to Kiganjo.
Kiambu. No. You're talking about Keganjo, the one in Nyeri?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
There's a Keganjo in Kiambu also.
Okay.
Yes. And so here we go. I finish high school. Sorry, something happened before I go to high school that changed my life.
Let's return.
When I was in class 8, there used to be a neighbor of mine who was a good friend. And this neighbor of mine, and God bless his soul, his name was Charlie. Charlie was the first guy to ever take me to a club.